So this session is being recorded. And this morning, I'll be describing to you and hopefully working through with you what the group literature review assignment is about. And once we clear that up, I want to talk a little bit about how assigning a group literature review to you in the context of a sociology course will allow us to observe how socialization occurs, and in some ways the relationship between socialization and stratification. And let me just reach back here to get my book, our book, to get the title exactly right. And how moving from social interactions to social organizations, how this kind of exercise participates in that aspect of the sociological enterprise. But we'll start with perhaps a more practical approach, and then as we move along, we'll see exactly how this unfolds. So I'll start with questions. Do any of you have questions about the assignment? Okay, well, in the meantime, while you warm up or so. Okay, so Isabella asked how you mark up the assignments. I'm going to ask you a favor, Isabella. Can you please, I'm going to write it down just in case. Can you please ask that question again in a few minutes? I want to take that up at a little bit later on in my description of the assignment. I'm just writing that down. The first stage I want to make sure we cover. So the first stage I want to make sure we cover is the group part of this. And the group part of this is often, from my point of view, from the faculty point of view, the most difficult thing to handle. And that's hard to handle sometimes anyway, even in a context where you meet on campus 2 or 3 times a week. And in some ways, it's more difficult when it's being done remotely. But last semester and the semester before, so in the fall and in the summer, I did this assignment. I organized this assignment for students, and by and large, the students were were better at finding each other and coordinating their efforts online than my worst case expectation had been. Nonetheless, there were groups whose interactions were unsuccessful or say suboptimally successful. And so the first thing that I want to make sure you understand is that you're jointly responsible for the effort, and that you need to, and you're expected to, and you're required to make an ongoing effort to get in touch and stay in touch with the members in your group. If you have difficulty identifying who all is in your group, send me an email, and I will be able to show you. I'm not sure how to do that in this particular format, how to switch over from this screen to the other screens without revealing information, without revealing private information. And so if you can't figure out how to get in touch with the rest of your group, I'm going to have to handle that with you separately from this joint session. This morning, I sent out an email to all of the groups asking you to get back in touch with me to confirm that you are aware of the assignment and of the other people in the group. And so that'll be one first step. So that's the group part. The members of your group are available to you through Blackboard, and the email addresses are also there. So I'm hoping that all of you have figured that out, or at least someone from each of the groups has been able to get the ball rolling. The first step in the assignment is to understand overall what the assignment is, and so I want to turn to that now, and I'll switch over to the description of the review of the assignment. Okay. So this is a very broadly described assignment. I'm not asking you to produce an essay. I'm not asking you to, so you're not being asked to produce an essay. What I want to get you to do is I want to have you take a look at what the sociological scientific literature looks like, organized around a particular topic that you will have found, that you're responsible to have found in the textbook in any one of the chapters we'll be covering this semester, chapters 1 to 7. And it won't be enough, and the strong temptation for some students in the past anyway has been to resist the textbook in a sense, to look at the textbook instead of actually reading the textbook, to see the textbook and the pages in the textbook as simply an aggregation of words rather than a story and an argument and several arguments and an analysis and a number of other things that the textbook is, I think, demonstrably trying to engage you in engaging with. They want you, the author of the textbook wants you to see the story that he's telling. He wants you to recognize and understand the arguments that he's making. And that you won't be able to do that if you just take a look at it as though it was a series of words in a particular order. You need to understand how the words added up together tell a story. So, for example, I think I mentioned it earlier, but in the first chapter, I'll just grab the book again quickly, as quickly as I can anyway. And so he begins the book with on page 3, after the learning objectives, the opening section is My Road to Sociology and blah, blah, blah. He tells a story. He wants you to understand that story for a number of different reasons. The particular reasons aren't what I want you to pay attention to for the purposes of completing this assignment. For the purposes of completing this assignment, what I want you to see is that just plucking words out of the textbook and then plugging them back into a Google search or plugging them back into the library website search engine is the longer way of trying to complete this assignment well. I should probably have prefaced my remarks this morning this way. I'm going to give you an account of how it is to do a very good job on this assignment. I'm not going to try to give you a description of how to complete this assignment with the least amount of effort possible. So if you want that, you'll have to send me an email, and I want to caution you that if you send me an email asking me what is the way I have of doing the least amount of work in this course, I think that you're misunderstanding how this is supposed to work. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes trying to describe how to do a good job, how to do a very good job on this assignment. And the starting point of doing a very good job on this assignment is to make sure that you're reading the textbook to understand what the textbook is saying and doing, rather than just killing time, rather than just reading it one word at a time. You need to let that textbook work on your mind and achieve some of its goals in order to be able to use that textbook properly, and also in order to do a good job on this assignment. And so the way that this works is so what I'm trying to describe is how to move from this general description to a manageable kind of assignment. And so to that end, I will, try not to fall off my chair. I'll turn to a particular passage and just bear with me, I had it a second ago. Right, so on page 59 of the textbook from chapter 3 on socialization, the section heading is the Symbolic Interactionist Foundations of Childhood. And I'll just read it briefly. The Looking Glass Self, which refers to, do they give the reference? Yeah, Cooley, Charles Horton Cooley's old article and book from a long, long time ago. The article goes, or the chapter reads, socialization begins soon after birth. Infants cry out, driven by elemental needs, and are gratified by food, a clean diaper, comfort, and affection. Okay, and then I'm going to skip forward to, in contrast, so on the next page, in contrast, the symbolic interactionist model of socialization thinks of people as the imaginative two-legged creatures that you and I deal with every day. From the symbolic interactionist point of view, socialization is a creative process that takes place in human groups. To be sure, inherent biological traits set broad potentials and limits to what people can become. And then I want to skip forward. Thus, when teachers evaluate students negatively, students may develop a negative self-image that causes them to do poorly in school. Research suggests that poor performance may have as much to do with teachers' negative evaluations as with students' abilities. And then after that sentence, there's a reference to an article that's listed in the works cited in the bibliography of the textbook, an article by Weinstein, Gregory, and Strambler. And this is one of the ways that you can use the textbook to start building your search. One of the strategies you can adopt is to use the research that's cited in the textbook as the starting point for your literature review assignment. So if you go to the bibliography and you take a look at the Weinstein article, let me just, Weinstein, Gregory, T. It's from American Psychologist, and the title of the article is Intractable Self-Fulfilling Prophecies, 50 Years After Brown versus Board of Education. And it's in the journal American Psychologist from 2004. In general, a second strategy to, a second starting point for this assignment is to pick a topic from the textbook that you find interesting, and then find the references from the bibliography, find some of the references from the bibliography, open one of those articles, go to the library website, plug the title in or plug the author in, find that title, and then take a look at the works cited list from that article. And that is very likely going to give you, that very likely would give you enough articles to build your own works cited list. Now, it won't automatically do that for a number of different reasons. You're going to have to take a look at those articles, and you're going to have to open up those articles to make sure that, in fact, the article, that there's enough material in the article that you'll be able to complete the other requirements for this assignment. It is not enough to simply assemble articles that have keywords in the title that seem to coalesce around the issues that your group literature review is organized around. You're responsible to make sure that all the 5 of the articles that you list, that you can find a way to demonstrate some connections between all 5 of the articles from the list to each other and to the aspect of the chapter that you're looking at. With a little bit of imagination, or it doesn't require a ton of imagination to be able to do that. There's an enormous amount of conceptual overlap in all of the social scientific literature. But it requires a little bit, it requires quite a bit of understanding to be able to see that overlap. An easier way to do it is to make sure that you find articles which have that content, that shared content for you. So the first stage of the assignment is to put together a works cited list. You need to find 5 articles that have not just in the title, but have in the substance of the article. So you're responsible for reading enough of the article that you'll be able to connect what's in the article, some of what's in the article, to that particular content of the chapter you've identified. So if you identify the symbolic interactionist version of the self, you need to find scholarly articles that discuss some aspect of that looking glass self, some aspect of the looking glass self that's relevant to some sociological topic. Now, I want to drill down a little bit here. All of your articles must be from scholarly journals. If you just Google this, if you just enter it into Google or other search engines, other sort of large-scale search engines, as opposed to the library website, you're going to end up having to go through a lot more titles in order to find scholarly journals. I've provided a list at the bottom of this article of examples of many of the kinds of sources that are acceptable. I don't want you to use, what won't count are, now let me see, how did I put it? Right, so it has to be a full article. It can't be, I won't accept book reviews or editorials or brief notices. Roughly speaking, the articles have to be at least 10 pages long. It's an arbitrary cutoff, but for reasons that make complete sense, I understand that it would be better for you if you had shorter articles to pretend to read rather than have longer articles to pretend to read. I'm looking for you to put in a good faith effort at working your way through and exposing yourself to and trying to grapple with the literature as it exists in the social sciences. And in order to ensure that you're initiating yourself to this, so I'm not looking for you to master this content. I'm not looking for you to be able to fully understand what the article is about and all of the different ways that the content of the article relates to the issues raised in the article or the issues raised in the textbook. What I'm instead looking for you to do is to observe the difference between the kinds of analysis that go on in articles that are produced in scientific journals, social scientific journals, and the kind of and the level of analysis in the textbook. And that comparison will give you, will better prepare you for later sociology courses. It will better prepare you for a university experience in which, in upper level courses, you will often, not always, but often be expected to produce essays that are based in part on this, on a fuller, more complete, more contextualized understanding of what the current literature in whatever field it is you'll be studying at university involves. And so this is a kind of preparation for producing university level essays and university level research. And so now in the works cited list, the first part of the assignment, what you need to use is you need to produce that in the Modern Language Association style of citations. And I've listed a link, I included a link to show you what this looks like. The college librarians, one part of the Seneca College librarian's job is to assist students in exactly this kind of assignment, to assist you in finding sources, to assist you in understanding the sources, and to assist you in how to cite the sources properly. So I encourage you, if you have, and if any of this doesn't make any sense to you, and if you, so in particular the MLA citation, get in touch with the librarians online. The library has organized easy access to librarians, easy online access to librarians, and they will be happy to guide you through the process of assembling this assignment. Okay, so if you have questions as I'm going along, please spell them out. So that's the first part of the assignment. Simply collecting 5 article titles, 1 article each if you're in a group of 5. And I forget if your class has a group of 6 students. I will get in touch with you separately, but you'll need to do 6. If there's 6 of you in the group, you'll need to do 6 articles. So you need to find those 6 articles and you need to assemble them in a list. Next, you need to produce an annotated bibliography. And I have included in the folder in course documents for the group literature review files a template for what it is I mean by a simple summary annotation. What you need to do is you need to describe the main ideas, arguments, themes, thesis, or methodology, and identify the intended audience of the cited source. When I first handed out this assignment, one of the temptations, some of the students just meant, sorry, let me start over. One of the ways that, one of the conventions of scientific literature is to include what's called an abstract of the article. which is a summary of the article that's intended to provide to the reader of the article an overview of the content of the article to alert the reader as to whether or not that article will be of value, of interest, of use to them. And there's all kinds of reasons why that's a good thing. But if you copy the summary, if you copy the abstract and submit it as your own work, that's plagiarism, and it goes against the student conduct thing, and you get a 0 on the assignment, and you also enter the both of us into a world of hassles. It's super obvious. Often anyway, it's super obvious that you've done that. You cannot copy work. You cannot just cut and paste work and present it as your own work. I'm convinced that you all already know this. I'm alerting you to this fact, so if you didn't know it before, you know it now. You may not just simply cut and paste and present as your own the work that other people do. For the annotated bibliography, you're going to have to do the extra bit of reading the article. This is one of the purposes of this assignment, is to have you read articles from the social scientific literature on a topic that's sociologically relevant. And so you'll need to read the article and then briefly describe what the article is about. Finally, the article commentary, and I'm getting to now Isabella's useful question. What is the final assignment? What is the final submission going to look like? In order to do the final submission, what you'll need to have you'll need to have access to Adobe Creative or Adobe, I forget even the name of the thing, but through your course, through your Seneca tuition, you have access to, for the duration of your time at Seneca as a student, you have access to the Adobe Creative suite of software. And that includes a ton of software. Okay, Kandakar, thank you for asking that. I will come to that in a minute. I sent an email out this morning, so if you check your email, it should be in there. But I'll get to that in a minute. Or rather, send me an email, Kandakar, and I will show you. I'll do a screen capture to show you how that works. I can't do it I don't know how to do it collectively without revealing information, like other people's emails that I'm not supposed to share publicly. So we'll do that separately. Now, so for the in order to get how to get access to Adobe Creative Cloud, I've posted on Blackboard, and I sent out an announcement, a screen capture video that will show you where on the Blackboard website you need to go in order to register with Adobe to get access to the Adobe software. And I've also put another screencast video that will show you, once you have that software, that will show you how to open the file and how to include your comments in the file. And then once you've all done that, once you've shared those files and included your comments, then you submit that at the end of the semester with each of your comments in the margins. I've put in here, I'm going to turn now to a different file to show you what it looks like. So here's a sample from from another semester and another group of a submission. Now let me see if this is going to show what I want it to show. Not quite. Okay, just give me a second here. No, it's not going to do it. Sorry about that. Okay. Just give me 1 second here. I think I might be able to figure this out. I'll just be with you in 1 second. Okay. Well, this in a way might be better. So let me see if I can make this available. Okay, just one more second here. This is not looking good. Oh, yeah, okay. Can you see the screen? Is there a PDF? Is there a document on the screen right now? Okay. So what happens is, so I'll zoom out for a second so you can see what we're looking at. Here, the article is Working Class Students, Habitus and the Development of Student Roles, a Canadian case study by Wolfgang Lehmann from the British Journal of the Sociology of Education. And it's an article that I was reading for a variety of different reasons. And so I open it, and this is how I read articles, and this is how a lot of academics today read articles. They open it up, and the software is organized so that as I find passages that are, now how do I get back to this though? I don't know how to do this. It just shows one page at a time. I wonder. Sorry, hang on. So here, I highlighted a passage in the text, and there's a function up at the top of the text that allows you to annotate. So when you click on, if you write here, the icon is this little, I don't know why, but the icon is supposed to be, but when you have the document open in Adobe, whatever the software is called, Adobe something, Adobe Acrobat Pro, you click on, if you click on this tool, it will allow you to highlight text. And then if you click, if you right click while you're in the highlighted, a little bubble opens up and you can type your comments in. And so often the way scholars annotate texts is they will find a claim that they agree with or disagree with, or they'll find a reference to a source that they're familiar with or that they're not familiar with. And it allows you to take the text apart, and then when you come back to reread the text, because scholars very, very often read and reread the same text a number of times in order to better understand the text, and more importantly, in order to better understand the connections that are being made by the author of the text and other work in the field. And so one of the ways that the social scientific literature operates is that in the articles, the references that are made to the articles are meant to frame an argument in terms of an existing an existing archive of research, an existing research tradition, and an ongoing conversation around shared questions. And so in this particular article, what the author is interested in understanding is, are there differences between how students who identify themselves as working class, how they change their approach to their studying over the course of their time at university. So this professor teaches, or at least he taught at Western. I think he's still at Western. And he had an ongoing research program where he recruited students at Western whose parents didn't go to university and whose parents' jobs, the students who identify themselves as working class based on their parents' occupation. And out of that selected pool, he asked them a bunch of questions. So he interviewed the students over the course of their time at Western in order to be able to try to figure out if there are differences between how self-identified working class students approach their studying and compared to how students who identify as non-working class. The point of I'm only describing this in order to illustrate how one particular article can only be made sense of against the background of other articles, other work, other sociological concepts. And so in this article, what I did for my own purposes, this is not a student completing this assignment, but I highlighted this and I made a little note to myself, and it said, I can't quite make out what it says in the margin. How do we know that it depends? Anyway, the point is, I asked myself a question about the claim that's made, so that I can later see. Often, not always by any means, but it will turn out that later in the article this question is addressed. The authors, or author in this case, of the article is earlier on in the article setting up a particular conclusion that'll be defended, or a line of argument that'll be addressed later on in the article. You can't write everything all at once, and so often the questions that one might have earlier, later on in the article, are answered. But for sure, and probably more often, they're not answered, because not only can you not write everything in any one paragraph, but you can't write everything. You can't ask even every question, certainly not answer every question in any one article, or 50 articles, or 50 million articles. The social sciences are an open-ended kind of exercise, and it's impossible to fully address all of the potential kinds of questions and connections that can be raised on any given topic in the social sciences. So this is, roughly speaking, what an assignment of yours would look like. There would be an article, you would highlight a passage, but the difference here is, in my article, there's just one person making the comments, Antoine Goulem, me. In your submission, there will be, you will have registered yourself with Adobe in order to have access to the software, and using your name will appear above the comments. And so I'll be able to see that you made the comment, and I'll be able to see that two of your classmates will have also read the article, at least read enough of the article to be able to make annotations on it. And so now I want to turn back to the description to make one last point, or one next point. Now, let's It's not letting me zoom in. I don't understand. Okay, well, that's better. So the commentary that you are to provide has to focus on the connections you can find between the articles you've chosen and the relevant chapter from the textbook. So what I'm looking for is that you're able to see and recognize in all of the articles, in each of the articles, connections between that article and what's in the textbook, and also connections between what's in the article you're commenting on and the other articles that you've read. And so really what I'm looking for you to do is to pick out interconnections between different sociological, social scientific articulations. Okay, so now let me just read this, Sahar. So can we use other source? Oops. You certainly can use other sources than the 5 cited articles. Well, you can use other sources, but you absolutely also have to use those sources. Googling anything, what I'm looking for is for you to, as long as they're the kinds of sources that are required for this assignment. I don't want you to just Google it or get a Facebook meme or ask your friend what she thinks about it. I'm looking for you to make connections between the social scientific literature and the textbook, not newspaper articles, not any other sources. All of those other things are important ways of doing social science. So I'm not saying that those are irrelevant or anything else. I'm just saying for our assignment, what I'm looking for, what you need to do is to connect to it, to clarify, to annotate, to notice interconnections between different social scientific approaches to overlapping work. So you can use other resources, but they have to be the same kinds of resources. So I'm not, so I see here Kandahar. Did we have one last week? I think, were you asking if we had a class last week? Last Monday was Family Day, and so our class was canceled, or, it's a holiday, so there was no class, if that's what you were asking, Kandahar. But what I want to do now, I want to describe a little bit how I see this assignment, how I'm hoping you'll see this assignment fitting in with the socialization chapter and the from social connections to social organization chapter. First of all, by assigning this as group work, I'm asking you to figure out ways to coordinate your time amongst yourselves. And that is it's a skill that we know, that we at the college, the faculty know, that the employers with whom management are in touch and about whom management shares with us the views, at least those views that management think are relevant to us, your future employers are keen to have reasons to believe that you will be able to work cooperatively in whatever field you end up wanting to work in. Increasingly in the 21st century, paid work involves cooperating with coworkers. Okay, so again, Kandakar, that's a good question. But if you send me an email, maybe we can work through that separately. So coordinating, so right. So the purpose in this class, like in all the classes and in all the colleges and in all the universities, I don't know about all the universities, many universities, for the same kinds of reasons and probably for similar other sorts of reasons that I'll pass over right now, assign group work to students. So there's a sort of labor market outcome that justifies assigning group work. But there's also a sociological, or there's also a sociology justification for assigning group work. And that is that, again, increasingly, but from the very beginning, it was the case to some degree at least, but increasingly, the production of social scientific knowledge occurs in the context of group cooperation. And so by doing a group assignment, you're in a certain way reproducing the very way that social scientific knowledge is originally generated. And in that way, you're practicing in a somewhat reduced manner what it is that social scientists do when they produce brand new social scientific knowledge. And so you're in this way, you're introducing yourselves, we're introducing ourselves, we're introducing each other to the actual practice of the generation, the creation of social scientific knowledge. Furthermore, this is one of the ways that sociology as a practical discipline fulfills its mandate, its public mandate of participating in a certain kind of way, improving society. Human cooperation, at the very least, arguably, and I can't imagine any arguments that would completely, that could credibly and reasonably and plausibly simply deny this assertion. All kinds of advantages have accrued to societies where human cooperation is facilitated. Reasonable people can disagree with the contention that human cooperation is always desirable. I actually think that it's always desirable, but I accept, I recognize that it doesn't always happen. But it seems to me that in an ideal society, in a better society than ours, there'd be more cooperation, not less cooperation. And so in that sense, sociology, by producing its knowledge cooperatively, is in a small way participating in improving society, the socialness of society, and through that, when it's successful, insofar as it's successful, it's fulfilling its own mandate as part of, as a productive part of society. And so there's this sort of dual nature of the assignment. It's doing what sociology does, and it's also doing what it is that sociologists argue is what's good about sociology for society. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, the intention is to introduce you to the kind of next, to a higher level of complexity reading material that you will be expected at university to be able to look at, to read, to use reading material and analysis and so on that's a little bit more complicated, a little bit denser, than the material in the textbook. And so in introductory courses like ours, the textbook is written at and for an introductory level, but in upper year courses of university, you're expected to be able to read material that's at the next level of difficulty. And so this assignment is meant to introduce you to that kind of reading. And one of the reasons I've done this is the feedback that we've gotten in the LAT program from students who graduated from the program and then went on to university. Some of the feedback is that they wished that they had been one of the sort of more general comments that was made was that the students were surprised by the amount and the kind of reading that was required at university. We don't have available to us the resources to really analyze the feedback for all kinds of different reasons. And so I'm not sure what to make of that feedback. I think that all of those other reasons to do this assignment this way are good enough on their own, but my own inclination is that the students who gave us that feedback they weren't just whining and complaining. I think that it was a productive little bit of feedback, and I do think that you are well served for those of you who are going on to university. And I want to call to your attention, our program is organized to prepare all of our students to go on to university. And so this is intended to be part of that preparation. In upper year courses, you'll be asked to read this kind of stuff. And so here I'm getting you to look at this kind of stuff and to start scratching, to start understanding some of the claims that are made in these articles, and to use these articles in some of the ways that will be expected of you when you get to third and fourth year courses at university. So that's it for my presentation. So I want to so that's it for my presentation. If there are questions, feel free to email me. If there's a question that you don't think is going to be, if you don't want to ask a question right now, take a look at this material and then sooner rather than later. Okay, so here we go. Well, first of all, thank you, Mustafa. No, there's 5 articles, and so you need to distribute this labor amongst yourselves. Most groups have 5 people in it. I have the list of all the groups for all 3 sections, and so I'm not sure exactly. I'll go back and take a look, but by and large, most groups have 5 people in it. And so each of the 5 articles needs to have at least 3 different people producing the commentary. So you need to organize yourselves. You need to divide this labor up between the people in the group. So it's going to require some communication and some organizing on your part. Okay, let me just see what you're... Oh, okay, Noor, thank you. I'm going to have to fix that. Thank you very much, Noor. When the first time I gave this assignment, it was set up with that. And so I'm going to, damn it. I'm sorry, this is my fault. I will, as soon as I'm done, I will fix that. I want the interconnections between the 2 articles and, hang on, and the articles that you've included in your group literature review. How you distribute this commentary work is up to you to decide. So, shoot. God. Good catch, Noor. Thank you. And I will eliminate this. The 2 readings is from the first version of the assignment. Okay. So excellent job, Noor. You've saved a lot of people some headaches. I will fix that as soon as we're done, and I will resubmit this. I will update the source in Blackboard. That is confusing. Good for you. Thank you. Typing my email address. I will go back, Xialing, and check my filtered. There's a email box that filters. Anyway, I'll go back and make sure that somehow your emails weren't diverted to my whatever they call the junk mail is the only term I can think of. But I'll go back and take a look. Okay, well, I'm going to turn the recording off.